it's not uncommon on our show for us to get behind schedule a little bit. It's happened again, and so I want to get right in with our guest, Vanessa Davis, our musical guest, who's right there on cue. Hi, Vanessa.
Hi, how are you?
Great. Nice to have you. Let's see. We'll try to mince some words here, but let's. You want to play a song first? Because I'd love to see if we can get two songs in. What do you think?
Sure, yeah, I can start right off with a song.
Are you right here in Lexington?
I am in Lexington, yes.
Okay, take it away. This is Vanessa Davis. Is this an original?
Yes.
Fantastic. Vanessa Davis performing here for us on Trivial Thursdays on WRFL.
Never break a songwriter's heart, baby. That's no secret. It's something everyone knows. Oh, if you make a songwriter cry, baby, well, that'll just keep her quick on her songwriting toes. Oh, immortalized, and that's a fact. Now I pick up a pen each time you act out a cryptic message or angry text, red letters spelling out what to write next. Ooh. So why are you pouting? Why is your face so long? You knew when it ended you'd end up in a song. Oh, now you're shouting that I've done you so wrong. You knew when it ended you'd end up in a song. You're a bull in a china shop, baby. Burning temper, horns that push me away. Yeah, you should know that each little display is a beacon, a spotlight on what I say. Yeah, eternalized like ancient history. I pick up a pen to solve the mystery. You mince words, you're oh so clever, but my words they'll remember forever. Ooh. So why are you pouting? Why is your face so long? You knew when it ended you'd end up in a song. Oh, now you're shouting that I've done you so wrong. You knew when it ended you'd end up in a song. You'd end up in a song.
That is Vanessa Davis here on Trivial Thursdays on WRFL. Wonderful, Vanessa. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Um,
much.
I couldn't, just from the first line of that song, I was like, okay, this is a brilliant idea for a song.
Thank you.
Did it emerge fully formed for you, or how much did you have a moment where you're like, wait, I need to. I love, we're seeing in this age of like, weaponized is the wrong word, but I think of Taylor Swift, who I love, and I think about like this sort of ascendant power of songwriters where they're like, you may end up in one of my songs if you don't
Yeah.
watch it.
It's funny, I had the idea years ago, and I keep a folder on my phone of, I have both voice memos and I have like a notepad in my phone where I keep ideas for songs. And I've had this idea in my head for years. Problem is, I haven't had a breakup in a very long time because I've been happily married for 11 years. So I got this idea about 4 or 5 years ago, and I was like, it's not true to life, but songwriters aren't always true to life. We take liberties. But I actually did kind of have a falling out with a friend that helps to inspire some of the lyrics more recently. So I had the chorus fully formed, although when I had the idea, it was up tempo. It was going to be like, why are you pouting? Why is your face so long? You knew when it ended. And then as the song started to come together, I realized, oh, I actually think this is going to be more like mid-tempo. And I started to get some of the inspiration for the verses based on a behavior of a not so friendly friend.
Yeah. Well, so I love that insight. This is WRFL Lexington, by the way, and I think we're saying goodbye to our radio listeners here in a second. But we've got Vanessa Davis here for our Facebook friends, and hopefully you'll do. We can stretch out here a little bit.
For sure, yeah.
I love hearing you talk about the choices that get made. I'm always fascinated by the choices that creatives make, and you even played like a sample of this, at like a more up tempo situation.
Which I may go back and do, like, performance wise or recording, who knows. I have plans to record an EP this year, and that song will be on it, and then who knows, one day I might go back and do it as an up tempo version with full band or something, who knows.
Right after you have a I'm just going to make this up. After you get a record label, and then you have a very, very bad break with the record label, and you go back and record your own songs the way you wanted to record
I heard about someone who did that.
I don't mean to throw that comparison out there again.
No, I love it.
Well, yeah. Well, and you mentioned this is something that I'm a photographer, and so I get this as a photographer kind of. I've always had a problem with the hashtag that you see a lot called no filter, and I'm just like, okay, that's like writing a novel and being like, you know what, I didn't correct the manuscript at all.
Edit it.
Okay,
Yeah.
So and as a songwriter, you mentioned that you have the liberty, you have the license for the song to be, some people write from personal experience, and some people write from their imagination. This has been an argument that's been going on for hundreds of years, really, whether or not it's okay to, whether what you write needs to be from personal experience, or as some would say, if you just do it from personal experience, then what kind of artist are you anyway? You need to be able to produce it, just out of your own psyche. And I'm not saying that I believe that, but I'm just saying that as a songwriter, there are lots and lots of choices to be made. That may be even a lot of the fun of it. How do you know when a song is done for you? Or is it?
Oh, okay. Can I address the first part of that first and then answer that question?
Please, go ahead.
I'd love to weigh in on the debate as to whether a song has to be autobiographically correct or not, because I've recently swayed from one side of the equation to the other. So because songwriting is very therapeutic, a lot of times it is completely autobiographical. And for me, historically, it usually has been. And it's been very recent. And it's funny that you mentioned Taylor Swift, because what she did with her most recent, besides her redone albums, her most recent original music albums, Folklore and Evermore, where she really took on the role of a storyteller.
Which I love both, by the way.
What's that?
I love both those records, by the way.
I love them so much. And she took a lot of artistic liberty and she told other people's stories and she told fictional stories from 3 different viewpoints. And that was really inspiring to me as a songwriter. And that was honestly what swayed me from the I need to be completely truthful, completely autobiographical to no, I can take as much artistic liberty as I want to and tell a good story because as a singer songwriter, it's my first job to be a good storyteller.
Yes, quantum. I think that's a quantum leap for you or for any singer songwriter. Said the person who's not a singer songwriter. But like, but really, that's an incredible quantum leap, right? Because if you tell a true story in a sort of boring way, then who gains anything from that? You know,
It makes
sure,
it more
maybe it's true,
interesting.
but
Yeah, you can make it more interesting if you throw in a little turn or twist, and it doesn't necessarily have had to happen that way.
oh, and also, I mean, songwriting is not reporting. It's not, it's not reporting for the Associated Press.
Right.
You're not being graded on how true your song is. You're being graded on how good the song is.
Right. Yeah. So to your second question, how do I know when a song is done? There's kind of I like to compare it to a sculptor. There's kind of a process where you get sort of your basic outline of what it's going to look like. You get your basic shape and then you start sculpting away at it. And I'd like to say you know when it's finished, but a lot of times you go back and add a couple of little chisel marks here and there and just give it a little extra something something. And I've also found that for singer songwriters who sing and perform their whole lives, that songs are always evolving. I went to a concert of Jewel, who was huge in the mid late 90s and early O's. I went to see her a couple years ago when she was in concert in Ohio. And she played some of her songs that she's been gigging with for 20 years, and they sounded nothing like they did on her original album because they evolve with you. And that's what's so cool about this form of creativity is because you're a photographer, right? So you take a picture, unless you go in and make further edits or, make it look all fluorescent or whatever, that photograph is essentially done. But some artists like to take more risks in live performance, and I like to take more risks. So a lot of times I'll throw in some runs I wasn't meaning to throw in. I'll just do it on the spot, and the song evolves with you the more you perform it.
And as your Vanessa Davis is here, by the way, the singer songwriter based here in Lexington, and I was just thinking about how, it could be that some people. You talked about how Jewel's songs evolved a lot when you saw her, and I always wonder, like, I think for many musicians, because I'm a musician, I wouldn't call myself a songwriter. Sometimes you just get really quickly wed to the way it sounds, the way you did it, and you hear recording musicians talk about this a lot, where they're trying to get this spark of originality before it becomes this premeditated thing that it's just the way it sounds to them. So it's always interesting to me to hear about artists who are changing the way they play their songs, because I think that probably for some it's just not something that their brains handle very well. They're like, no, I did the song and this is how it is, and I don't know how to play it any other way. This is something I struggle with when I'm sort of trying to come up with versions of something.
I attribute a lot of that creativity to my dad. My dad's a jazz musician, and so I grew up listening to jazz. And as you know, they're not sticking to the melody ever. And my dad was gracious enough to let me start sitting in with his jazz band when I was 12. And
That's amazing.
yeah, and
On what? On guitar?
No singing.
Okay.
Yeah. And I remember at one point this jazz musician came in, and I don't remember what her name was or where she was from, but I had the opportunity to meet her afterwards because where I'm from, which is Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada, by the way, is where I'm from and where my parents still live. I had the opportunity to ask this woman afterwards about like how to improvise and how to scat and how do you just do that on the spot. And I honestly don't remember what answer she gave me because it didn't make a lot of sense to me. But I was also a teen probably at the time. And it took me years and years and years to get comfortable enough to improvise on stage. And now if I haven't improvised a line or two, I'm like, oh, that was dull, that was boring. So I like to keep it interesting, and I don't always, like I said, I don't always know what variation of melody is going to come out of my mouth until I think of it on the spot.
This is Vanessa Davis. Vanessa, you're based here in Lexington. You're from Canada, eh?
I'm from Canada. Hey.
I actually didn't do that on purpose. You're certainly, in great company when you consider the whatever it seems to be in the water in Canada that has inspired so many great singer-songwriters. One time I went to see Neil Young, and I had high hopes based on a backstage pass that I had of having him sign my organ donor card, but he didn't come back to meet us. So
No.
I'm still chafing about that a little bit. But so let's see. So you've been at this for a while, and you said you've got an EP coming out. Are you playing out? You strike me as someone whose songwriting has likely benefited from the weird state of the world over the last couple of years. Am I right? Or
funny you should mention that. I actually released my first EP during quarantine. I recorded and released it. I released it about a year ago, so the very beginning of 2021. But it has a whole, I mean, how long do you have? It has a pretty cool story to it. We finished, so my day job is, I have a music studio. I'm actually sitting in it right now for those of you that are watching. This is where I teach. I have vocal, guitar, and piano students. And 2020 spring semester, we had to finish out doing virtual lessons only because of obvious reasons. And so for about 2 months, the kids were only doing virtual lessons. At the end of the semester, sometimes I'm one of their teachers, so sometimes they'll give gifts at the recital. Well, we didn't get to have a live recital. We did a taped recital where they submitted their videos, and then I stitched it together with help of my husband, who is electronically much better than me, and put out a recital video for them to watch. But one day, this giant box appeared on my doorstep. And of course, we were in a zero contact zone at this point. This is May 2020. And I go and I open this box, and there's someone texts me, one of the moms from the studio, and says, make sure that your husband is videoing you when you open this. So I opened up this box, and it's this huge novelty check, which came with a smaller check. And it was from a lot of the parents and students in my studio who had pooled together some money. And in the memo line, it said recording studio time. So they gifted me this tremendous amount of funding to be able to do an album. And then at the time, because I had never done an album or an EP or anything. And of course, at the time, everything shut down. There's nothing, you can't go to a recording studio, but I do have a recording studio in my house upstairs, like just a simple one or whatnot set up. And so what I did, because I had nothing but time on my hands, that summer I wrote, and I actually wrote, because I have a classical music background, I wrote string parts as well. And I found musicians who played violin, viola, and cello. And I sent them the sheet music, and I sent them the tracks, and they recorded their parts and then sent them back. So this was the shutdowns was a huge creative time for me. And it resulted in my EP called Pretty Little Cabin, which came from the phrase cabin fever, because my first live stream concert that I hosted, I called Cabin Fever, because it was, right in the midst of the shutdowns, when that was the only kind of concerts that anyone could do. So yeah, it was a huge shift though, because I had been performing out so much. And then all of a sudden, all of that's gone. And it was kind of like, well, what do I do with all these creative juices that are caught in my body? And so I found an outlet in that EP.
Vanessa Davis here on Trivial Thursdays, singer-songwriter based here in Lexington. And you also strike me, if I'd like to add that, you found this way where music and creating fits in your life. You do other things. You have a day job, if you will. And
right. It's more like an afternoon, evening job, because the kids are in school right now.
Yeah. So that being what it is, it's still, I always feel like there's a kind of, a lot of people have a kind of skewed view of being a musician, as if it's something that you have to become a superstar at.
Mm-hmm.
When in fact, so much is can be gained personally from simply exploring a relationship with music. Would you say? Am I putting words in your mouth too
Yeah.
much?
No, that's great actually, because for a while when I was younger, I thought I wanted to be a superstar, and now I've realized that that is not a lifestyle that I want. I'm not looking to get signed. I'm not looking to have a massive career. You know, just to be able to meet some cool people and to collaborate with other amazing musicians, and just to have a show and have people show up. That's kind of the goals, and to be able to share that. So my music studio, where I'm a music teacher, is so much a part of my musical identity as well, because I get to encourage and instill not only skills but positivity and encouragement to the next generation of musicians and potential songwriters, and maybe Broadway stars.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. So I want you to play one more, and then we'll have to wrap things up. But also, before you do, what's in store for you in the short term? Where can people find your music? Are you playing out these days? What do you think about playing out? Are you thinking about playing out? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah. What's
I'm
coming up?
playing out. My next show is February 5th at the venue in Moorhead, which is a beautiful facility and well spaced. So if that's a concern of yours, the tables are nice and well spaced. I'm opening for a band, are they out of Lexington? They're either Lexington or Greater Lexington area. A band called Wicked Peace. I'll be opening for them in Moorhead at the venue on
I
February
think they've
5th.
been on the show before. I think they may have been on my show a number of
Oh, that's
years ago.
cool. Yeah. And then the very next day, on the 6th, Sunday, is the Lexington Music Awards, where I will be all dolled up. I'm nominated for 4 awards this year, so I'm super excited. And
Congratulations.
thank you so much. A lot of my musical friends and colleagues are also nominated, so we're just going to have a great time and take lots of pictures, and yeah, it'll be good.
And then, did I miss the part about where people can get your
Oh,
EP?
no, I forgot to tell you. So my EP is on those streaming platforms that you know of. It's on Spotify, Amazon, iTunes, Apple Music. It's also on my YouTube channel, Vanessa Davis Music. And I
Okay.
myself can be found on Facebook. Vanessa Davis Music is my page, and on Instagram at songwriter Vanessa.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've linked a couple of those things here on the
Perfect.
chat
Thank
stream
you.
on Facebook Live. So, Vanessa, thank you for coming on the show. I'm sorry we got a little bit of a late start. I'd love to have you come back sometime and visit some more. And I'm also
Yeah.
very excited to hear you play another song for us.
Thanks so much. Yeah, I mean, late shows, it happens. It's not a big deal. I'm just happy to be here. I'm doing the after show, so I feel extra cool. So that's no
Right?
problem.
It is. You really are doing the after show.
So what I will say about this song is that it takes great artistic liberty, and most of it is not. Most of it never happens.
You don't
But
have to tell people that. I just want to tell you that as your own coach. You don't. It is not necessary. I don't have, as a photographer, I don't need to tell people. This was a little different, but I changed. I made
Right.
the grass greener here.
Just because we were on the topic, it would seem
Okay.
relevant to what we've talked about today, so I wanted to let you know.
Fair enough. This is Vanessa
This-
Davis.
This is called B-list celebrity. I wondered when you'd surface again, my fair weather friend. At the end of my set, said you'd be there, and yet didn't see you at all. If you will recall, you were much too busy for me. That's so overplaying nice. I roll the dice with you every night and pray that I'm not wasting my own time. You take your time and work the room and say I'll get there when I get there. Well, that's fair, but if you don't care in the meantime, in the meantime, moved you from the A list onto column B. The names of the people who ain't there for me. Then I'll show never know when they're gonna come and go. So you can move it on over to the end of the line with all the other name dropping fools I can't find on my list. You knew the risk and use me. You're nothing but a B-list celebrity. Nothing but a B-list celebrity. Nothing but a B-list celebrity. Yeah.
Check you out. That's Vanessa Davis here on Trivial Thursdays. You have got it. That was great. Your singing is just absolutely joyful and magnificent.
Thank you so much.
It's true. So
Can I quote you on that?
of course you can. Of course you can. As a matter of fact, I'll make this segment available, and you can do what you want with it because you've got Vanessa's all over the social medias, and so I'll do that. We'll do that, and you'll come back and visit us, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, I look forward to that, and thanks for being with us. Thanks for playing a couple songs. Thanks for helping us wrap up this week's show, Vanessa Davis. And again, mention again, you're playing in. I actually put a link up. You're playing. Where are you playing next?
I'm playing at the venue in Moorhead on February 5th. And then the Lexington Music Awards, if you want to meet like all the musicians in town, not all, but a good chunk of them, and just come and network and stuff, grab your tickets and come on out to the Lexington Music Awards at the Lyric Theater on the 6th, and you can get those tickets online and reserve your seat.
Magnificent. And then what is the best, like, because you are all over the place, like on on the socials. So is there like a singular place that's a good place to keep up with Vanessa Davis music stuff?
I post the venue, the events to my Facebook page. Okay. So Vanessa Davis Music, but I'll always throw up a graphic on Instagram as well to let you know like when and where I'm playing and things like that. But the actual event information and whatnot can be found on my Facebook page.
Okay, super. Thanks for your time. Thanks for hanging out a little bit longer with us too.
Absolutely. It's been a blast. Thanks so much for having me.
We'll do it again. Okay.
Sounds great.
Okay. We're going to say bye for Trivial Thursdays this week on WRFL. Thanks to our Facebook viewers and listeners. Thanks to our friends from CASA, of Lexington, and also to Christina King from the Lexington Fayette County Health Department, Sarah Katzenmeyer and Dr. Gupta and Jacob of the UK Healthcare System, talking about CPR saves lives, and singer-songwriter Vanessa Davis, as well as to Leif Erickson, my co-host. So it's been great as always. One of my favorite Thursday thing. How could it not be? I've done it all these years. We'll leave you then with something that we do here. So this is Fleece and Terrible Things. And we'll catch you next week. Have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.